All right, hello and welcome. Just making sure I can also get Ian Funny onto the voice here.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
Looking good, looking good. I'm just gonna change your window because it sized differently while I was racing. There we go. That's good for now. I'll fix it later. So welcome to the podcast. This is episode 3 now, I believe.
Yeah. This will be the third one. The first one was the season overview with Reem, and then the second one was the scavenger playlist or setting.
So today we may have two different settings to talk about, but the first setting we're going to be talking about is full countdown, random start. But before we do that, how have you been doing this week?
Yeah, doing pretty good. Starting a new project at work. As some of y'all might have noticed, got a haircut. It had been like 4 months, so yeah, that was a much needed haircut.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, nothing too crazy. Played some Mario Kart with a friend last night. Came over, hadn't, he had a kid about a year ago, so I hadn't seen, him over at my place by himself in a while. And he just released a new book. He's a cartoonist, so animator, and he got it like his first like official book in the Library of Congress and everything. So
Oh
that was
wow,
pretty exciting for him. So yeah,
that is exciting.
yeah. He's made a couple of like little books before this, and he owned his own business for a while and did like some animations for commercials and things like that. But yeah, it's good to see him like getting into the illustrated books and everything. So, but yeah,
That's a
how
lot of
about you? How
fun.
you doing?
So let's see. This week, I mean, it's been raining, it's been hot, although the heat wave finally freaking broke. So I'm glad for that. Um, Birds are doing good. Everyone here is doing good. I don't get up to a whole lot other than trying to learn Blender, and um, I'm probably going to start playing through Kingdom Hearts. I haven't played it before, so
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
that look forward to that on stream because I'm going to be doing that. But otherwise, yeah, we're just doing podcast stuff all week.
Awesome. But yeah, so we got this random area start, full countdown, fast Torian setting to talk about.
hmm So
So
random start. What does that mean for us?
yeah, so it can mean different things depending on where you start, but the locations that we can start are Ceres, Green Bryn Star Elevator, Big Pink Business Center, and Red Bryn Star Elevator. So Ceres is, I think, just kind of thrown in there as a little bit of a troll from Reem. Welcome in, Reem, by the way. Uh, so yeah, that one you pretty much just go through Ceres and you end up at the ship, and it kind of continues like any other seed that starts at the ships. So
And
that one's
unlike
not too crazy.
Yeah, and unlike most other seeds that we see, Morph Ball does not go on the pedestal usually. Usually, you find your first set of ammo, your Morph Ball, somewhere nearby where you start. Which is, what is your favorite start out besides series?
Besides Ceres, I
I mean,
think
it's Series Station Radio. You have to have series as your favorite.
that's true. But yeah, I'm start doing some 80% here soon, so I should probably get back to doing some series. But yeah, I actually, yeah, Heaven's Titan. I think I have to agree. Big Pink, I think, has the most interesting potential start because, for one thing, you get those two items in Big Pink right away. Uh, they could be morph, they could be screw attack, speed. Morph, plus supers would allow you to continue on towards Red Tower, so you can get the tube item. But screw attack and speed will allow you to, go towards the Brinstar reserve tank, and morph can be in some interesting places in that case. Um, so yeah, I think Green Brinstar is or pink. Bryn is probably the most interesting. Green Bryn Star will unlock the Bryn Star Reserve Room, but there's just that one item there, and then you kind of have to go to Terminator if it's not any missiles or actually, yeah, there's really nothing you can do other than kind of go up to Terminator. So
Hmm.
I feel like that one's a little less interesting, but depending on what items you get, it definitely opens up some choices. Um, Business Center, and that one it'll open up the high jump boots room, and a lot of times you'll find morph and super missiles there. And
Hmm.
morph and super missiles will allow you to go to Spazer, which will have ice beam, and that allows you to get back up Red Tower. But usually after that point, it's pretty similar to any other vanilla start seed, in that like there's really nothing else you can do besides get those items and head back to Criteria. So yeah, not the most interesting, but Red Bryn Star kind of similar in vanilla map. Uh, I think it opens up the Alpha PB's room so that you can get the uh, the item there at Alpha PB's, but you won't be able to get the item behind it or anything else at that point. So you end up kind of
Right.
and back to the ship. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good overview of the random starts. But one of our other settings this season has a random start, but also full area rando, and the Red Bryn Star elevator can be a little bit more interesting, as well as the Green Bryn Star elevator, since you start
Hmm.
next to these other zones, so it could potentially take you to just about anywhere. So we'll get into that one probably next episode or the one after that.
How we doing, Eki in chat? I just want to shout out everyone in chat who's coming by. Thank you so much for coming by to the live recording. We got Sunwoo Farmer, Heavens Titans, Remok Taurus. We got Doug Gravy Train, and we also have Eki Mount. So again, thank you all for coming by and making the live cast so interesting.
Yeah, we definitely encourage some input or questions while we're going through all this. Um, the main reason for these podcasts is to help people learn and
Hmm.
maybe even come up with some new ideas about how things are approached. So yeah, please, if you got any comments or questions, come in the chat.
Definitely. So now we talk about the other part of the setting, which is full countdown. And I believe we're going to be touching on this quite a bit because this is what kind of changes the entire seed for some people. And I think full countdown, in my opinion, is the not I don't want to say baby's first rando, but it's like if you're used to doing Smrat vanilla settings and you're used to just doing randomizer vanilla, I think full countdown is kind of like your entry point into doing Smrat as far as our ladder goes, because our ladder, like you were just talking about, random start is a thing, random area is a thing. We have other things that happen. We were talking about scavenger in our second episode. So I think if you're coming in from just like a SMZ3, or if you're coming in from like just doing Varia as the website or doing Dash or doing Map Rando and you have never done Smrap before, I want to say full countdown is kind of a really, really good entry into like the format as the ladder goes.
Yeah, especially in a racing context. Like when you're playing casually, you can just kind of collect every item that you want and everything's fine. But in a racing context, you really want to take it into account, like what percentage chance, there is for you to be getting a major in like the higher density areas, just things that will help speed up your gameplay in general.
Hmm. Um, but yeah, so full countdown, as Heavens is telling us in chat, means that it tells you how many majors are in each area as you visit them. And this is why I thought this was going to be a big talking point for this episode, is because as we go through the seed, and actually let me get that seed up on my window here. Never did that because I am a professional. So let me get this and make sure that, yep, So just playing the seed that we're talking about in the background. Let me go ahead and mute that so I don't hear you twice.
Yeah. Don't need me in stereo.
Not
But
yet.
yeah, so speaking of Pink Bryn, yeah, the seed I did started me in Pink Bryn, and we got those supers and Morph Ball. That allows me to check these items over here, but I can't open up any of those other doors that require bombs. So depending on what's here, will kind of set the pace for the rest of the seed.
Mm-hmm.
And
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and finding power bombs here, that pretty much allows me to full clear Pink Bryn here, and with three majors, I feel like that's like probably the best route of action. You could go back into Pink or Retro Bryn and get some items there, but there there's a good opportunity to pick up a decent amount of ammo, which since this is kill all G4 and fast Torian, we're probably going to want some ammo for Mother Brain and Ridley.
Mm-hmm.
But with it being full countdown, there is a higher chance of us coming across charge than a normal full SMRAT classic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the other thing about it is, you know how many majors there are. You have to get into the mindset that when you go to a new area to go start exploring, you might have to leave some majors behind. And you have to really kind of not put in the mindset of I need to full clear. It's like, for example, if there's 5 in series, one of those could be at Ream Supers, right? And you can't get that without speed. So that's going to be permanently locked. And you have to kind of put in the back of your head, okay, these are the locations I haven't checked. I know that there are this many majors left over. I know I can't check these locations, or maybe you want to dip out of a location early just to try and go faster. This is why I was kind of comparing it to vanilla Smrat earlier. Is you don't necessarily know that in vanilla Smrat, but like you were saying, it's density of items. So if you covered that number up and pretended it was a vanilla Smrat seed, it would be basically the exact same seed. It's just that you know how many majors are in each area.
Right, and it's just really big on the decision making, and with these full kind of more vanilla type seeds, you know t- like in a typical SMRAT classic, I think you're more inclined, especially in Green Bryn and some of their earlier areas, to check just about every single location, because
Mm-hmm.
a suit could be any of the locations. So and with these seeds where you're going to have to visit every single area,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have to kill every single boss, you're going to need both of those suits. So it definitely lends to going out of your way to check things. But yeah, with this full countdown, you can take a little bit more risks in terms of what you check, and like worst case, you can kind of go back and pick up any other slower checks later if you need to.
Mm-hmm. Um, as with all seeds, ammo early is super important. And I say this in a very light sense because there might be one seed in there where finding charge really early on, like today's seed, I found charge in freaking Gauntlet. that
Yeah, that
was
was super quick.
yeah, that was super quick to find charge. So there are some times where you can find it and you're like, okay, I'm not too worried about ammo. I can pick up ammo if I need to along the way, just in case I might need it. But otherwise, I don't need ammo. But that does not happen very commonly in seeds. Normally it's like Ridley's holding on to the charge beam and you don't get it till like super late, or it's like super out of the way over in wave beam,
Yeah.
or it's just like it's just in a weird spot. So normally I shouldn't say normally, because I would say it's like 50-50 where it's ammo go mode or charge go mode, but it's still like you kind of want to do and look for ammo early on. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it definitely will help you out with a lot of stuff. Like just even picking up like 10 to 15 missiles will generally help you with fan tune. Like unless you get like microwave later on, then it won't really matter too much. But
Mm-hmm.
I think just having a decent amount of missiles will help you go through some rooms faster too. So um, think it's definitely good to pick up some ammo. And then supers, unless you pick up a beam like plasma here and charge on top of it, those supers will really come into handy with Ridley. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think picking up the ammo at the beginning is definitely a good choice. And with all these like pretty high density checks, like especially here, as you can see, I skipped the Edicoons items because I was like, well, you know, the Green Brinstar Reserve area, the early supers, that there's like 5 checks there. So I'm going to go ahead and check those first because not only is it faster, but it's more dense. But if it ends up that there's not any majors there, I can go back down and check the Edicoons.
Hmm.
So in this case, it pays off as both majors were in fact in the early supers area.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it pays off to look for ammo. It pays off to look around a little bit just to make sure that you're kind of covering yourself, especially in full countdown where you kind of want to look for your majors. Um, Knowing how many majors there are, you should be able to find charge. Yeah, we talked about that. Collecting all the majors can influence which direction you end up going. So I think you ended up being closer here to Kateria and Green than you were into Red Tower, and that's kind of what pushed you in this direction when you kind of cleared Big Pink, and that's kind of why I wrote that note down.
Yeah, it definitely made sense to stick around in Greenbryn, and like as you said, I end up at that elevator, and at the very least, I want to see how many majors are here in Criteria before I make any decisions to kind of rush Red Tower. So yeah, and then of course that allows me to check back a Gauntlet, which is 2 other checks, so it makes um, checking that Gauntlet a lot more uh, tempting in this case, and with it being fast Torian, ice isn't as important, but at the same time, that could be my bot wound access if I don't find speed. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
and in full countdown, I will say like fighting BT here when I know I have bombs. Potentially pretty slow of a check, even without the fight. So this play was a little risky maybe, and ended up not paying off. But at the same time, it did help me refill my power bombs without saving at the ship. So
Yeah, there
there's
you
a
go.
a little benefit there.
Yeah, and I mean that is something that Heavens has just brought up is hey, just save at the ship when you need to refill. But the problem is there is that the ship is not always nearby, and that's a time sink to go to the ship, get into the ship, do the refill. Even if you don't save, it's still a little bit of a time sink. The save on top of it then adds a little more time sink into it. Um, yeah, and then here you end up going into landing site. We're talking about how landing site IBJ can be a little slow, and it's another kind of risk that you're taking because it's one check out of however many. And I don't know if this is something that a lot of players do to let full countdown kind of rule their choices, where they're like, okay, I know that there's so many items left, I need to check everything.
Yeah, and you know same with SMRAT Classic. This check is in logic. IBJs are in logic, so there's been plenty of times where I found a suit or space jump or speed or something important here. So it's definitely worth checking out in a lot of cases. But I think in this particular case, it probably was a bit slow. But uh, knowing where at least one of these majors are, it makes it a little bit more tempting to just go ahead and check the front of gauntlet as well as
Hmm.
the ice beam that we know. And I think at this point, with starting in green, big pink, you now have kind of a choice whether to continue down to retro Bryn and probably get spit back out at Green Hill Zone and go down Red Tower as one of your options,
Hmm.
or the other option is to check out Wreck Ship, find out how many majors are there, and then probably decide whether or not to fight Fantoon or just to go straight down Red Tower and check out the Upper Norfair items in Crade.
So this kind of brings up the question: would you do this many checks if you didn't know the major count? Like if this was a Smrat Classic seed, would you have done this many? Would you have gone to landing site, or would you be going? I mean, I think Gauntlet is a pretty good shout out, but otherwise, yeah. Say this wasn't full countdown and it was just random start.
Yeah, I think there definitely is a bit more of a risk going and without the full countdown knowledge, checking all these items. I mean, obviously in this case we checked the back of Gauntlet and we know the ice was there, so Gauntlet, like you said, makes sense.
Mm,
But yeah, doing some of those other slower checks, probably not really in the cards. I think maybe like worst case come back later after checking Wreck Ship and Upper Norfair. But
mm,
yeah, I probably would have checked 230 instead of Bomb Chorizo potentially.
mm.
Besides that, I think this kind of decision making makes sense in this context.
Yeah, definitely. Um, let's see. So yeah, we had already talked about how getting bombs elsewhere made the bomb chorizo fight really slow, and that it's just an out of the way check. So it was kind of didn't make sense. And you know what's funny is today during the seed, I got bombs at 2:30, and I was like, I'm skipping bomb chorizo.
Yeah, I think we had like talked about that as we were like planning out the podcast this morning, and I think maybe I planted a little bug in your ear. Um, but it did turn out that Bomb Chorizo had power bombs in that case, and that would have probably prevented your first death there. So
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that first death I had was definitely because I went in and I sat in the acid while the power bomb was going off, which made my life go down to like nothing.
yeah, that acid hurts with that knee suits.
So the second time I went in there, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna do a better job of staying out of the acid, and I did second try. I was so hyped to get charge and ice in that seed right back to back like that. Um, but anyway, so you can still follow logic a bit. Like you had gotten very fairly early here, but it was out of logic. So you were like, okay, we know that Varia is not in logic. We can go and risk Fantoon and do that without grapple and space jump and gravity. And that's exactly where you are right now doing CWJ to get over there. Um, you could have gone down Red Tower. You could have, done a couple of different things, but what when should you risk Fantoon? Like when not having grapple, space jump, or gravity kind of here is a risk in my book.
Yeah, I think when the seed ends up kind of being a little more open ended, and that there can be a bit more choice involved, like, well, I probably could find a can fly and you know potentially gravity, um, somewhere in Upper Norfair, since I have that Varia. Upper Norfair has a ton of checks. It makes me think, well, I'm already right here. I can see how many majors there are. Um, I think it's at least, good to know how many majors. And I think with there being two here, eh, I think, maybe my ultimate decision making and trying to clear most of Rex Ship was kind of a mistake. But
Hmm.
um, it's like, while I'm here, I might as well kill Fantoon and check his two, missile super items, and then just kind of dip out and maybe come back later.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think in this seat, I end up going all the way through to Sky Missiles, finding Space Jump, and then just dipping out
Yeah.
after finding that last major, and especially finding Spazer, which at this point is useless, and now we know that there's only one other major. It was a pretty big risk for me to do all the extra checks that I did, but
Hmm.
yeah, we did end up finding Space Jump, so uh, I don't know if it completely paid off, but it definitely sped up the rest of the seed outside of this.
Hmm. And then the same kind of goes for full clear, right? Full clear wreck ship. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, not full clear. Full countdown. But it
Right.
feels like you want a full clear wreck ship because of full countdown, because I think it was 5 that was here when you came in?
A wreck ship was it was just 2.
2.
So, if it was 5, then yes, I would definitely full clear.
Yeah. But that
And I think
see that number influences you, right? That number is like, okay, if there's 5 here, I need the full clear. If it's not 5, or if it's, whatever that threshold is for you, like say it's 3 and you're like, "Oh man, that's tempting to full clear, but that's not quite where I want it to be." Um, just having that little bug in your head taunt you over your shoulder, like, "Hey, there's 3 majors in here. You sure you want to leave them behind?"
yeah, and honestly, like, since gravity in most cases, unless you find a like, a lot of energy, is gonna be the logic for Fantune, t fight
Hmm.
to be in logic, I think it's probably worth checking, like, the West Ocean missiles and Spooky missiles because, gravity can be there since it is before the Fantune fight, so it's I think it makes the play a little bit stronger, um, to do it this way,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's still yeah, with just 1 extra major and the rest of Wreck Ship, it's not like, having 5, so,
Right, right,
yeah.
right. Um, but yeah, I mean, having that number there, and it's not only Wreck Ship that it's doing that too, but it's all of the seed that does that too. But I think Wreck Ship, especially where a lot of people say, okay, Wreck Ship is a trap or Wreck Ship is the play, that argument back and forth between is it the play or is it a trap? It really depends on the seed, and it really depends on like what knowledge are you going into Wreck Ship with? Do you have gravity? Do you have barrier? Do you have beams? Do you have, and the two that I had written down were grapple and space jump, right? Because those are the other two things that can really put Wreck Ship into play. And then once you have them, you're like, okay, Wreck Ship's in play. I don't have a whole lot of items. I need to find majors. I just need the full clear. Or I have a good amount of stuff. I can feel better about not clearing Wreck Ship. Um, I definitely made the play today to dip out of wreck ship early. Once I got that gravity and I killed Fantoon, I was like, all right, I'm going to check one item over on the E tank, and that's it.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember what was all in there. I think speed was at the West Ocean upper missiles. So
Sky
that
missiles.
not sky missiles, but the ones like where you have to shoot the super block,
Oh,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah. And the maze
maze. There you go,
missiles.
maze. So those that was pretty big there, but I think that was pretty much it in wreck ship. So speed being in wreck ship is honestly kind of mean because I was
Mm-hmm.
gonna mention like you said having grav and grapple and or space jump makes wreck ship more tempting. But if you put space or speed on top of that, then you can absolutely full clear and I think
Mm-hmm.
that makes it even more tempting in that case. So if speed is in wreck ship, it's like makes the play to do wreck ship even less desirable.
Mm-hmm. And then you're going up here to go towards the attic, and I written down. I won't spoil it, but there was a good item in the sky item here that you went up for. That play by itself is kind of risky because with your loadout, all you had was IBJ, or you had to use the platforms that move back and forth. Which, if you know how to do them decently quickly, is not terrible, but it could be detrimental.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see exactly how long it actually takes to get sky missiles without space jumper speed because when you're just sitting there, sometimes it can feel like forever, or it can feel like not very long at all. So it's a little, um, you know, hard to tell exactly what we want to do there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean
But
it's a gamble either way, right? Do you check it? Do you not? And that, I think you can say that for just about every one of the 100 items that are in Super Metroid. Do you check it or do you not? The only thing that
yeah,
you can't say that for is Morph Ball Ped.
right, yeah, and yeah, and like I said in this particular seat, I even go in and check this this item here, which Hey, it ends up maybe being a good idea just because I end up getting, a major out in sky missile, so I get to,
Hmm.
kind of dip out without going through bowling. But yeah, these little jumps here can be pretty tight, and if you're not super practiced with them, it can really eat up a lot of time. Spring ball and speed booster, of course, help with that item check, but
So I wanted to save the this talking point for like the transition between this seed and the next seed, which is Fastorian, right? Because Fastorian can mean quite a bit of things for you. Um, First off, what does Fastorian actually do to the seed?
yeah. So the connection between the Green Pirate Shaft and or Torian and normally connects to like that the G4 room, but with Fastorian, it connects you directly to the room with the Ghidorah right before the save room and everything in Torian. So you know, basically, you don't need the 15 power bombs if you don't have ice. You don't need ice to kill those Metroids at all. So that's one thing to take into consideration. So that's another thing that kind of makes ice not nearly as powerful. Uh, and on top of that, the Zebatites in Mother Brain One Room are gone. So once again, another thing that makes ice not nearly as powerful, as well as speed, which speed Zeb skips a fairly high level tech, but it's definitely something that people will consider if they don't
Hmm.
run into ice. Um, so, and then Mother Brain does not have any glass. So instead of the 36 missiles that it takes to, break the glass and, kill Mother Brain, it only requires that the 3,000 damage worth of missiles. So, that's something to keep into account. The one thing they did kind of keep because they got rid of the Ghidorah is they kept the red door to Mother Brain 1. So that makes it to where you need one extra super. So something like 30 missiles, 60 supers isn't quite enough to kill Mother Brain 2 even with perfect shots.
Hmm.
So um, you're definitely going to be wanting to pick up some ammo, but not that usual like 45, 65 that you find in SMRAT Classic.
Yeah, and so Fastorian just off the bat makes it knowing that starting your seed makes ammo and makes charge that much more important because you actually do need to go through Torian. You actually need to fight Mother Brain 2, so you actually need the amount of damage to kill Mother Brain 1 and Mother Brain 2. You don't need to break her glass or do Zebatites, but you still need to think about having the right setup in order to defeat that boss.
Yeah, and then if you get a slower beam combo or like a weak one, like in the last seed, where for a good portion of it you only had ice and charge. Uh, Fastorian also makes that a bit more manageable because you don't have to take any damage from the Rainbow Beam. So, a normal fight where, like a low ice fight where, you have to do is like 200 shots and then make sure you don't take any more than 99 damage. Uh,
Hmm.
Having those, three E tanks of buffer, even with those slower fights with weaker beams, that makes that much more manageable as well.
Hmm. So then, how does Fastorian change, if at all, the setting of Bounty Blaster and Chozo?
Yeah, so I mean, with Bounty Blaster, it's definitely going to slow things down because a lot of the times in Bounty Blaster, you kind of skip a lot of ammo and a lot of major checks. As long as you're like, okay, I got what I need to do my objectives. So, and something like Bounty Blaster, I think it affects it a lot more than Notorian, but
Hmm.
I think for Bounty Blaster, I think that maybe the difference between Fast Torian and normal Torian isn't too big, but at the end of the day, it definitely changes how people approach it. And speaking of that bounty blaster, is the first seed that we had, or first race that we had with those settings this season. All three players forgot that Fastorian was enabled, because
Oh
most
no.
people most people are used to bounty blaster not having any Torian.
Right.
So, Kaizentin did a good job of realizing, oh, hey, I have all the objectives and the timer isn't starting. What's going on? And kind of
Hmm.
picked up, a bit more ammo, started searching, while the other two players, um, like, did not even realize. They started like going up to the ship, and they're just kind of confused, and then I think somebody in race chat was like, yeah, fast Torian's enabled, and they're like, oh man, and they ended up DNFing. So
Hmm.
I think that it kind of shows the importance of trying to keep straight all of these different settings, and really before you go into the race, like, take a good look at it, and really plan out what potential things you're going to do.
Yeah, and really
On
understanding that, and that's part of the reason why we want to go over each of the race settings in this podcast in the first couple of episodes, so that people can come back and look at these recordings and go, okay, I know I'm about to raise a seed today that's going to be these settings. These are the things I need to think about going into it. Like we were talking about with full countdown, you really want to think about the number. There is a number of majors there, but you want to think about, okay, just because I'm moving on to another area doesn't mean that I'm losing out on those majors, because the same thing would happen with Smrat Classic. It's just that I know because the seed is telling me here instead of it not telling you in Smrat Classic.
Yeah, and with that, it kind of allows you to kind of tuck it in the back of your head, like, where am I going to check if I don't find the items I'm looking for in these areas that I'm approaching. So, in this particular seed, after finding Space Jump and then going to Red Tower, and finding that gravity, it ended up not being a big deal, because at this point I'm practically in go mode. I'm like a super missile pack and a normal missile pack, or an additional super missile pack away from go mode.
Hmm.
Um, got everything I need to take on Ridley, and Mother Brain too as well.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and maybe I'll eventually pick up another pack or so of supers, just to save time on refilling, if I end up not finding grapple or something to make Dragon's fight even easier.
Hmm. Um, So let's talk about what the objectives are for Bounty Blaster, because that's the second seed that we are going to talk about in this podcast. Just because, and we're combining these two because we felt that Full Countdown and Bounty Blaster by themselves were going to be fairly short as far as talking about them, and so we wanted to combine the two.
Yeah, let's see. Let me get those up real quick.
And while you get that up, I'll talk about Chozo. So Chozo means that the majors are put on Chozo statues. The fuse locations are designated Chozo locations. Those locations, there's one right above Fantoon that's considered a Chozo location. Obviously, behind Dragon, behind Ridley, behind Kraid are all considered Chozo locations. Even though there's no Chozo statue sitting there holding onto an item, it's considered a Chozo location. And I believe there's might be one or two more, but outside of those four, that's basically it.
Yep, I think you nailed it. It makes sense too. Like, kind of give you a little bit of a reward for killing those bosses, and just like the right supers, and Fantoon gets turned into a major item as well,
Yep.
just for balance sake, because Wreck Ship, without those changes, is even weaker. So
Hmm.
that's a good little addition. All right, but yeah, so I got these objectives up now. So we got each one of the bosses is an objective. So there's a kill Kraid, kill Fantoon, kill Dragon, kill Ridley. And on top of that, there is kill 2G4 and kill 3G4. And I guess we can go ahead and talk about that a little bit. So with the two G4, uh, I think maybe 9 times out of 10 you're going to want to kill Kraid and Fantoon, because those are going to be your quickest ones to get, and it might depend on what some of the other objectives are. Kill 3G4, I think it might come down to whether or not you find a suit that you need, but I think a lot of times that one's going to be skipped. Oh yeah, yeah. Thanks, Heavens, for the Twitch subscription, or Twitch Prime subscription.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so that's just something that we've kind of touched on a little bit outside of the podcast is, do we want to have like a patron, or do we want to have anything? And honestly, I have a Ko-fi, a coffee is how you actually say it. Um, so if you want to support the podcast outside the podcast, if you want to subscribe, if you want to donate through Ko-fi or coffee for that matter, we'll talk about doing things for patrons if we ever get to that point. But that's up to you fans. Like, if you fans really want to see that and really want to get rewarded for having like a Patreon or something like that, let us know and get your friends in here, because the more support we get, the more podcast episodes we can make.
Yeah, and we could maybe have like sneak peeks on some of the more in-depth episodes, because not just these setting episodes. We are gonna start going over more specific strats for rooms, depending on like what kind of loadouts you have.
Hmm.
So that could be an interesting way to do that.
Yeah, definitely. So what's the 5 objectives that you had? Okay, so hold on, let me break this down. Bounty Blaster, there are a bunch of different objectives. There are more than 8. I don't know the total off the top of my head. um you get 8 of them, and you have to complete 5 of them, and then fast forward on top of that means that even after you complete the 5, you still need to beat Mother Brain.
Yep. So I just counted. There are 26 possible objectives, and the bounty blaster will choose 8 of those, and you need the 5 in order to you know, uh, I guess in this case, go to Torian. So that Ghidorah Eye and Fast Torian does will not be able to be killed until you complete the objectives. So in this one, the objectives is just to kill the main bosses. So. But yeah, I guess I can start kind of going down the rest of the list. So we got kill Botwoon, kill Crocomire, and kill Golden Torizo. So those are the only mini bosses besides Spore Spawn. Um, on top of those 3, there's also the kill 1 mini boss, kill 2 mini bosses, and kill 3 mini bosses.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in most instances, you're gonna probably want to kill Crockermeyer if you got like 2 mini bosses, and then either Spore Spawn or Bot Wound, depending on what suits you get. Because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like most of the Ellen objectives, related objectives, and these is not really worth it unless you really have no other choice. Um, yeah, because like one of the other objectives is clear 50% items, and there are relatively few instances, I think, where that's the going to be the optimal choice. Though I will say that this having Fast Torian does kind of open up the possibility for collect 50% items to be a little bit more in place, and you're going to be picking up
Mm-hmm.
ammo and stuff anyway.
Yeah, you were definitely talking about that during the seed that you had played, which we do have. I just don't have it playing right now. But you were talking about, wow, my 50% really could be something that I really seriously think about. And then I think once you got later into the seed, you're like, I'm only at like 27, maybe 32%. And you were basically already almost in go mode at that point. And you're like, I'm not sure if 50% is really going to be worth it.
Yeah, unless you get some like really bad other objectives, it I don't think really comes into play much. I've only seen it a handful of time in the Notorian versions, but yeah, it's like well, that's a little too much. But
Hmm.
also speaking about clearing items or picking up items, the rest or a big portion of the rest of the objectives are the clear areas. And with full countdown, that means pick up all the majors, but it's still full rando, but you just need the majors. For major minor, that means pick up all the major locations, regardless of whether they're e-tanks or an upgrade. And then Chozo is kind of the same in that where you have to pick up the uh, Chozo items to clear those areas. So with
Hmm.
this current season, we are doing Chozo. Um, so that means, we have to clear the Chozo items in these areas. So, for good reason, West Meridia is left out of the possible objectives because West Meridia has no Chozo items.
Hmm.
So, putting that on there would just kind of be a free gimme objective,
Hmm.
which sometimes in full countdown, it still has no majors. LN tends to kind of do that too sometimes. But yeah, in these cases, yeah, West Meridia doesn't really make sense to have in the list. So I think that makes sense.
Hmm.
Um, and with it being Chozo, some areas are especially easy to clear. Criteria, I think the worst item check there is Gauntlet, which that's not too bad. There's no Ream Supers or anything like that. That it's a Chozo item, so Criteria is a nice one to find in these. Green Bryn Star is also nice because all you need is supers and power bombs in order to get all the Chozo items there. And on top of that, if you get one of those, kill a certain number of mini boss objectives, you can kill Spore Spawn and then easily get that Spore Spawn item, and which is a Chozo item. So
Hmm. And kind of speaking of sports spawn, one of the things I put a note on here, and maybe we won't do this episode, but next episode we were talking about teaching some of the things that movement tech, things like that. So like teaching the sports spawn double hit so that people can actually kill sports spawn a little bit faster. Teaching the gate glitch, which you are about to do. Actually, nope, you didn't do it here, but you did it in your other seed where you got through the gate without having wave beam.
yeah, and that gate glitch is really big in Bounty Blaster in particular. I feel like because if you have to kill GT, that saves you a trip around, and also having needing to have space jump because in SMRAT there's no Vario tweaks, so space jump is still required in order to do the acid chozo.
Hmm.
And on top of that, you're gonna have to kill GT. So like yeah, it's definitely good to have that, and Croc access is also great as well because I feel like those mini boss objectives come up a lot. So being able to kill Croc is definitely helpful, and he's got a decent amount of items. But with it being Chozo split this season, um, he's only got the one item. So Croc's lair itself, if it's one of the objectives, yeah, definitely get it. But that's probably an area you're going to be skipping in most Chozo seeds, I would think.
So we're being asked, what is our favorite item in the game?
Hmm.
I'm gonna go
I f-
speed.
yeah, speed's pretty great. It opens up a lot of things.
It opens up a lot of things. If you know tech around it, you can really do some really cool tech with it. If you, it just makes the whole seed a lot faster and getting through the seed faster. Um, it's a really cool item if you know how to use it right. It's like one of those. Um, it's one of those items to me that you get rewarded for knowing more about the item.
Yeah, that's definitely true. There's a ton of tech involved. It helps with Dragon, gives you bot wound access. It uh, allows you to can fly in a lot of places, and it can even help you get through like X-ray if you have high jump boots.
Mm,
That combination is enough to easily get through X-ray. Um, and yeah, not to mention it just speeds you up. So it's definitely one of the best items.
mm,
Though at the end of the day, I might say, like, I feel like a suit's kind of a cop out, but finding gravity is just huge, and especially if we're taking into account like what's my favorite item across all the different settings. I think in particular, like Bounty Blaster really benefits from finding grav. because
Hmm.
that allows you to skip out on, or in most cases, to skip out on any lower Norfair checks. And if you really need to do Croc, 3, 4 tanks should be enough. And if you have speed, then it's pretty trivial to get to Croc. So gravity is a huge item in Bounty Blaster.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pick one, definitely, like
Oh
you're
yeah,
saying, because there's what, it's 17 majors, so you can pick any of the 17 majors, and they're all really cool majors. It's just a matter of like which one do you think is gonna. Again, I like speed because of how much tech it can unlock, and like I said, it really rewards you for knowing how to use it. Versus things like gravity. Gravity is probably my second favorite now that you mentioned that, because well, you get gravity jumps, right? Gravity
yeah,
jumps, and I was using those in my previous seed. In this
yep.
previous race.
Helps you get up to East Meridia. It helps you do the lava dive. It's helps you get to wreck ship without a CWJ or any of the other logical items. So
Hmm.
uh, it's super huge, and and logically it opens up a lot. It opens up Norfair. It opens up Meridia. It opens up Fantune. So like if you're trying to follow the logic chain, it can be really beneficial. But at the same time, like it can also be maybe even a little bit of a detriment if you find gravity like really early. That means like your entire map opens up. So now Varia can be in East Meridia, it can be in Wreck Ship, it can, there's it just really opens up the possibility. So it makes those decisions a lot harder. Um, so there's some pluses and minuses on finding that gravity, but yeah, speed doesn't really do that nearly as much.
Hmm.
So it's kind of better in that way. It's like, okay, well, now I can check Ream supers maybe if I have ice and I think I'm trying to remember if you need plasma too. I don't think so. Maybe it's just ice. But yeah, there's and it makes a lot of checks like sky missiles faster. Yeah, I think speed is the first or second best item. It's a toss up between gravity and speed. I think.
Hmm. The other thing that I kind of want to put out there is maybe we should make a whole episode as a tier list, a 17 major tier list.
That's interesting. Yeah. Ah, man,
um
what would be your least favorite?
Oh man, I already know what is the meme least favorite.
Yep.
But
Was it?
I don't think I want to spoil that. I think that I want to make that into its
Okay.
own episode. I want to make that
Sounds good.
its own episode. But so we're talking about Bounty Blaster still. We have the 8 objectives. You have to complete 5. Um, in your seed, you had Spore Spawn as one of your considerations because you had to kill 2 of the mini bosses. I think Croc was your second mini boss that you killed in that seed.
That
Um,
sounds right.
and because you had done the gate glitch, so that makes sense. Um, and then just ammo go mode is your other consideration because of Fastorian. In Bounty Blaster, I want to say if you're not doing 50% and you're not doing location clear, then most of the time you're going for those really easy objectives, whether it's like defeat one of the major bosses, defeat one of the mini bosses, or defeat enough of either of those style of bosses to count for defeat 2, 3, whatever it might be, number of bosses.
Yeah, and we haven't mentioned some of the other kind of more, I guess, considered meme objectives. So, on top of those, we also have tickle the red fish,
Hmm.
kill the orange gamer, kill Shack Tool, visit the animals, and kill King Attack.
So it's funny that we talk about the meme ones because in both seeds that I've run this season so far, I've had grapple beam and I've gone right by the ticklefish. So I tickled it both times.
Oh man, I feel like that's pretty rare in Bounty Blaster, finding grapple and gravity. So that's kind of funny. But yeah, for those who don't know, tickle the red fish. So there's that red fish when you go to the top of Everest, that in that room that connects to the Red Tower elevator room. And there's a cute little red fish there that most people probably just kind of ignore because he's most of the time he's out of your way and it's not really a big deal. But if you hit him with the grapple beam, it's I think it was kind of a meme for a while. I think in 100% to tickle that red fish for good luck for Torian on your
Hmm.
way back to Mother Brain. So, yep. So grapple beam, just shooting that red fish, and that counts it as an objective. So it's a good one to get if you do find that gravity and grapple.
Hmm. Yeah, today's
And
seed was
then,
a smart classic, so it wasn't objective bounty blaster, but still, like
oh yeah,
it's something I do just for fun because it's fun whenever I have that item to do the meme. But some of the other memes are there because we don't like them as much, like go and kill or go and do a Shack Tools check.
yep. That's the most cathartic objective in this list, I would say. You don't even have to wait for him to clear out the room for spring ball. You just kill him and that's it.
Hmm.
Yeah, and oh yeah, we're seeing a fast Torian here. So none of the
Hmm.
Zebs are there. Mother Brain 1, no glass. And you see that my ammo counts are looking very good here. So this will be a factor for both the first setting, the full area or full countdown, random start, and the bounty blaster of the season. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's you can see with the ammo counts I went in, I got plenty of leniency. So yeah, but anyway, Mother Brain 3 is not a fight and no rainbow beam. So thought I'd mention that while it's up on screen.
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of why we
And
wanted to combine these two, is because we thought there wasn't a whole lot to talk about to make them single episodes, but they both had fast in. So this one being the longer one just made sense to play in the background.
yep, I think that makes sense. All right. So there's Kill Orange Gamer. That's an interesting one. A little slow because for those who don't know, the Orange Gamer appears when you're in that connector to bowling that connects. That's like technically you're out, in West Ocean, but uh, for whatever reason, the developers decided to put a nice little orange gamer there. Um, the, those familiar Kaizenton, that's his profile picture. But yeah, so you need wave or power bombs there, and if one of the things that could potentially happen is you don't have very many power bombs, and you end up getting soft locked. So that's
Hmm.
definitely something to watch out for when you're doing that. But it also requires a fan tune kill. So if you have any of those kill multiple boss objectives or something, I think it makes Orange Schemer a bit more of an attractive objective as well.
Hmm.
And then we got Visit the Animals. That one requires speed. So the animals, the Edicoons and the Decors. So the Edicoons, you really just need power bombs and in order to get to them. So not really that heavy of a requirement. I find if Visit the Animals is an objective, I'm a bit more likely to go ahead and check the Edicoon PBs just to kind of have that. You know, half of the objective already done, and also maybe potentially pick up another power bomb or super missile pack
Hmm.
uh, while I'm there.
And you actually had visit the animals for this one here. So um, it, you ended up doing exactly that. You went down to the Edicoons first, you visit them just to get one half of that objective out of the way. And then you got lucky and found speed right in big pink. So you're like, all right, I guess I'm
Yeah.
just turning right around and getting Decora right out of the way.
Yep, and that saved me time from having to go all the way back. But I think that choice in Chozo may be actually a little bit weaker than it would be in either full or major minor, because at least in major minor, that E tank there is a major, but in Chozo, none of those items are one of the Chozo items, so there's no possibility of majors there. But it,
Hmm.
it did work out in this case, so that
True.
was a nice little benefit of me doing it anyway. I don't know. I might chalk it up to me just kind of being used to the full countdown or major minor that have been in the last couple seasons.
Um, and then one of the questions I had written down was, how many power bombs do you want optimally for Gauntlet?
So, if you end up finding morph bombs, I think going into Gauntlet with just morph bombs is not great. And especially if you don't have a suit or an energy tank, it's extremely risky, even for some of our higher level players. Um, so five with morph bombs is relatively comfortable. There's some places where you can lay a power bomb and like knock out three like columns of those blocks. So it makes sense to use those power bombs there, and it makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, if you don't have any, uh, morph bombs, 10 is that minimum requirement. And I think that's super comfy. Even if you miss one or two,
Hmm.
uh, you can still get through. And if you go all the way through Gauntlet, then there's two B-toms there, frogs that will drop two power bombs. So and you can refill at the ship, so it makes Gauntlet very very doable with 10.
Hmm. So I think we've covered just about all the different objectives that there can be and how the objectives get randomized. Did we miss any?
So I think I had left out Kill King Cacatac, and that's the orange Cacatac at the top of Bubble Mountain. So that's another one of those objectives where you don't need Varia necessarily. Logically, you do, but if you can do the Hell Run through Cathedral and everything, it's definitely one worth getting. And if there's a mini boss and you end up having to kill Croc or something, that's like an even more tempting uh, choice to go ahead and kill that King Cack attack. Speed makes it very easy.
Hmm.
So I feel like any time King Cack attack is on the objective list, I'm going to kill him. So
Mm.
um, it's another cathartic one of those. Um, yeah, I guess I could talk a little bit more about with Chozo's effects on these clear area objectives. So wreck ship that requires you to go all the way through bowling. You have to get that E tank. Uh, that's through the spiky room of death and everything. So
Yep.
a lot of times it's pretty slow to do that one. Green Brinstar, not too slow, but you're gonna want some ammo and some stuff along the way. You're probably gonna find some good majors there. So Green Brinstar makes sense. Red Brinstar, you know, uh, it does make it kind of tempting to maybe go up and maybe even check wreck ship while you're up there, but yeah, a lot of times maybe you just go check at the top of Red Tower and then just go back down, or maybe you just go straight down and check X-ray if you can, and definitely check Spazer, and then maybe check Alpha PBs on your way back up.
Hmm.
Upper Norfair, pretty quick overall. You got your speed, wave, ice, and high jump. So not too bad of an area to clear, and there's a lot of other minor items around those. So especially with this fast Torian, I feel like clear Upper Norfair is also a very tempting choice. Croc Slayer, yeah, if especially if there's a mini boss objective, you're probably gonna want to do that one.
Hmm.
All in all, it's not too slow to go check that grapple. So yeah, with that clear area Croc Slayer, I think it's pretty good. Clear LN, that's one you're almost never gonna do. I think that might be probably one of the worst objectives that doesn't require like, finding speed or something, and because if you don't find speed like I did in my seed, and you're gonna have to go hunting for it, and that is not necessarily gonna be any fun.
Right.
And yeah, so you have to kill Ridley, and that's like the big thing. So I found like the Ridley objective is also not commonly done. So, but I mean,
Yep.
maybe if there's like a kill Ridley, kill GT, and clear Lower Norfair, like maybe you choose to do some of those. But
Right.
overall, this season, not a great choice. And kind of the same with East Meridia. You got Shack Tool, you got Plasma, you got Dragon. Uh, yeah, it's just very slow to get unless you need to like kill Bot Wound and Dragon as one of your objectives. I think that's another one of those like don't get that unless like everything else just seems way worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think with that, I think done a pretty good overview on how to tackle Bounty Blaster. I think maybe the main thing to think about is like what items, like especially from the beginning. So Reem, before the race, will actually send out the objectives to all the racers so that you can, write them down somewhere so you don't have to check your pause menu. And then also, like, before the race starts, kind of think about like, well, if I get, these items, I should probably do these objectives. If I,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so that's definitely a big part of it is planning out the route, but also playing it by ear. Because like if I hadn't found that speed in my seed, I probably wouldn't have done the animals, and I would have needed to do maybe something like that, 50% items. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so so yeah, there's definitely some interesting decision making you can make beforehand and on the fly that I think
Mm-hmm.
makes Spouting Blaster. I think this might actually be my favorite type of settings in SMRAT.
Yeah, I really enjoy the bounty blasters because there's always something different every seed. It's never going to be. I wouldn't say that with randomization how it is. Seeds end up being a little bit different, but you end up doing the same kind of movements throughout seeds. In bounty blaster, it's not that way, and I think that's also why I like the random start full countdown, because it's always going to be a different start. And there's going to be decisions that you make along the way that are going to make that seed a little bit different each time. Um, and I feel like it's just got more difference seed to seed than other seeds might have. Where Smart Classic, you're pretty guaranteed to go get Morph, go get the few items there. You're pretty guaranteed to go to green. You're pretty guaranteed to go to pink right after that. Really, your first major decision is up or down red tower.
Yeah, and with Bounty Blaster, I think the other thing that makes it really interesting is because you're able to skip so many items, um, it really like puts you in novel situations where you really only have the bare minimum that you need to get those bounty blaster objectives. So I think that's another thing that like really makes this my favorite is going and doing hell runs. There's not a lot of settings that make it really worth doing hell runs in Upper Norfair or anything like that. So getting opportunities to do those little nice like hell runs out of logic and everything,
Hmm.
I think really makes these seeds interesting.
Yeah, definitely. But with that, we should probably try to wrap this up, find someone to raid. Thank you so much, everyone, for stopping by and chat. If you stop by, if you're listening to this in the future on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, be sure to follow, be sure to go through the social media stuff. Follow And Funny for being my co-host and being an amazing Smrat player. I can't do this without him because I suck at Super Metroid.
And I wouldn't be able to do this without you either. You help keep me focused and you help keep these nice and tight. So I appreciate you as well.
Yeah.